Brijin, the Museum Stitcher, and welcome back to my channel for Flosstube number 54. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining me. This is my little corner of the internet where I talk about my crafting life, mostly about cross stitch. Today, I think just cross stitch. So if you like all things stitchy, knitting, reading, quilting, I usually have a little mix of everything. But I've been kind of monogamous to one craft over the last couple of weeks. And yeah, if you're returning, welcome back. It's been about 3 weeks since I last filmed, and I'm just really excited to talk to you about the projects that I worked on over the last couple of weeks. Thank you to everyone who sent some love to my last video. It was my market recap, and it really had a lot of information as well as my vlog. So if you didn't check that out already, I'll have it linked up here. But today should be a little bit more of a chill video than that one because I did so much shopping last time. I barely have any. And we're just gonna talk about the whips that I focused on over the last couple weeks. I wanna talk a little bit about the Nash Stash Startathon that I attended, and maybe some plans for wrapping up the end of the month ahead of Stitch North, which is kind of the next big thing for me. So yeah, if any of that sounds good, I hope that you continue watching, like, subscribe, leave me a comment, just say hi, and we'll get into today's goodness. So right up at the top, I want to take care of our giveaway. Last video, I announced that I was giving away the pattern for this little kit. I had leftover floss and the pattern from this kit I purchased at Nashville Needlework Market. This is Little Vowels by My Sister Samplers, which I actually FFO'd. We'll talk about it here in a second because I have a bit of a story. But I will pop up the comment of the winner here and leave a comment back on your comment. Please contact me soon if you want me to ship this out to you. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. You just have to add your own fabric. So thank you to everyone who entered for that little giveaway. But I FFO'd this little teeny tiny small in this frame that my brother had actually gotten me for Christmas a little while ago. And I just had it laying around. I hadn't had any pictures in it or anything. And I realized that it was just about perfect for this tiny little small. So I kid you not, I framed this about an hour and a half ago. And as I was lacing it in, because I'll show you real quick, I lace all of my framed finishes. I think it's pretty easy. And I like the finish it gives. And as I was lacing it, I pricked my finger a little bit, which is standard. It didn't hurt and I was fine. And I assumed it was all good because I've pricked my finger like that 100 times before with no issues. And then I keep lacing the project. I'm holding it like this, and I flip the project over to check that my spacing is correct. And I notice a big old glob of blood right in the center, right here. And I realized I had pricked my finger so bad my finger was bleeding, and I had no idea because it didn't really hurt that bad. So I had to run and rinse the project under cold water. I got a Q-tip with some stain remover, and thank goodness you can barely tell. It did wash out the threads like the tiniest bit, but it's a little antique sampler. It's 2 inches wide, if that, and I really don't care. I think it adds to kind of the antique look. And actually the fading isn't as bad as it was right after I washed and ironed it. So yeah, that was my adventure. That's the first time I've ever bled on a project, and hopefully the last. I can't believe that. But I couldn't believe how well this little teeny tiny frame matched it. My plan was to kind of turn this into like a button, like a pin to wear, and like add some lace to the edges, and I still may do that. This is easily changeable. But for now, I just popped it in the teeny tiny frame, and that's where it's gonna live. And I'm just gonna be glad that I didn't accidentally destroy this because I didn't realize I pricked my finger. So that was my FFO adventure. I was also going to fully finish my little crafting goose that I started and finished last video, but I ran out of time because I had to spend a lot of time fixing that one. So it didn't get done. It'll get done probably later today or tomorrow. I just need to find something oval shaped to give me a mold. You know, I may just need to print one out. Anyway, that is my only framed finish or fully finished piece. But I did have a stitching finish. The whole piece has not been framed yet, but that is because it is still in progress. So this is both a whip and also a finish. This is what it looked like the last time you saw it. This is the 7th Day of Christmas by Hello from Liz Mathews. My friend Cam and I are stitching all of the Days of Christmas by Hello from Liz Mathews. We started in November of 2023. Yeah, and we stitched them all through 2024, and our plan was to finish by the end of 2025. We have talked and kind of revamped a little bit because these are a lot of stitching, and with how much other stuff we want to work on and how many other goals we have to complete this year, we wanted to kind of ease off a little bit and make this a little bit more manageable. So moving forward, we're gonna take 3 months instead of 2 on all the remaining samplers. So that really does free up a lot of stitching for me. I think it's gonna be a much more manageable schedule, and it only takes us into March of 2026, which honestly isn't even that bad, considering even if we finished it in December, it wouldn't be displayable for that same Christmas season. So anyway, that's what 7th Day looked like. That's where it was the last time you saw it, and I finished it. I am still a little bit behind, but that's okay. It will get done when it gets done. I am stitching these on all the samplers on 46 count cream and sugar linen by Fiber on a Whim. I will have the fabric mentioned in the description box down below if you didn't catch it. No worries, I put all of my project information down below, so check there first before you leave a comment. But I made a couple modifications to the 7th Day of Christmas. You will have seen the cover image when I popped up my progress photo, and there is a quote that lies here. Well, the reason that I had to change it is because I have some words here, and the 11th day also has some words. So I had to kind of revamp a little bit because my orientation for this whole piece is 4 by 3. And when Liz charted them all as one piece, she removed the borders and charted them 3 by 4. And that kind of was how they were supposed to be, and that's what she kept in mind when she was designing. So I'm having to get a little bit of creative. So I just copied some of the stars from the tree version and some of the little snowflakes. And I think it looks totally fine. I actually quite like it. I think it matches the vibe of day 6 really well, and it pulls in some of the snowflakes from day 2. And I enjoy it. I think it was good. This is one of the most dense pieces in the entire project, along with day 4 that I've not completed yet, but that's okay. Day 8 is a very light stitching sampler, so that will be my next one. And yeah, I really, really love this piece. I think it's turning out really fantastic, and I cannot wait to have them all done. But by the end of April, I'd like to have the 8th day finished, and that is my plan. Because it's only the 10th or so. So yeah, that is the Days of Christmas by Hello from Liz Mathews. Okay, next up for the Nash Stash Startathon, I worked on From Velvet to Linen by Barrick. The Nash Stash Startathon is a virtual stitching event, kind of like the Jingle Ball, hosted by Lindy Stitches, and Stephanie just runs the most amazing digital retreats. This is my 4th digital retreat from her that I've attended, I believe, and they're just a great time. I had so much fun. I got so much stitching done. It like really revitalized me, really gave me my stitching bug back. I so enjoyed the designer chats and the stitching rooms and all of it. I love those events. I had the best time in there. I hung out a ton with my girlfriends and with new people, and it was just a very relaxing, very cathartic weekend of just focusing on my stitching. And I figured it was appropriate to pull out my new start. This was my market start. I did start it before the startathon, so I didn't start anything while I was there because this project deserved a little bit more work. I started this on March 13th. I started it on my birthday this year. And I'm stitching it on 40 count Dusty Cottage linen by BeStitchMe with a mix of the called for DMC and NPI silks. And last time you saw it, I was sitting at about 7% complete, or somewhere around 1,200 stitches. And I worked on it just about 400 more stitches to get it past the 10% mark. So there's about 1,500 in on it now. And I just focused on some of the green here and some of the maroon color. So not a ton, but it is a pretty solid start on this chart. This is a rather dense stitch. So, you know, you just gotta make do. But I will show you, I'm keeping this in a Little Boat 88 project bag. And it is a very chunky floss ring that I've got going here. But you can see I have a mix of the silks and the DMCs. So the DMCs are on my regular master set bobbins, and then I have the NPIs on some floss hearts, since these will stay in the project bag when I put all of these back. Now that I'm done working on this for a little bit, I have some other projects I need to focus on, but oh my gosh, how yummy are the silks. I chose just to do some of the maroons and the greens and the blues. Kathy does list on the chart the NPI colors that she couldn't find a good DMC match for, and these are those plus a couple extras, just because NPI blues are so beautiful. Yeah, I just picked a couple and then used DMC for the rest, because why not? I've never done a project with a mix of cottons and silks before, but some of my friends have, and they said it's totally fine. So I am super pumped that that is past the 10% mark. I'm putting it away. I don't know if I'll pull it back out again this year. I'm hoping the answer is yes, but again, I have some pretty lofty goals this year, so who can say when it'll get worked on again? It is just a new start though, so I'm not super concerned about getting it very far. But that is from velvet to linen. I also worked a little bit over the last couple of weeks and during the Startathon on my Secret Garden by Hello from Liz Mathews. This is another stitch along I'm doing with Cam. We do a yearly stitch along every year that is not the days of Christmas, and this year we're doing a mix of 2 different projects. For the first half of the year, we're focused on this one. And the last time that you saw it, I had just finished my February section, so I'd done about 2 months of work on it. And we're wrapping this one up in May, so 5 months total. And I'm so excited. This is what it's looking like now. It is almost done, y'all. I did both my March and my April sections. So in grand total, I've done about 3,600 stitches on this, because my my monthly totals are somewhere around 1,800 stitches in order to get it done at the end of May. I have color completed all but the pinks, which is so exciting. So my floss ring shrunk dramatically. And the last time that you saw this, it was sitting at 49% complete, and now it's at 85%. So excited. I started this back in April of 2024. This is a Patreon exclusive chart to Hello from Liz Mathews from April, so you cannot get this right now, but Liz is really good about releasing her projects about a year and a half after they are Patreon releases. So this will be a release at some point. Let me take you in close here. This is stitched on 40 count Buttermilk linen by Color and Cotton with the called for muted DMC. She charted this in 2 colorways, in brights and muteds. Cam and I are both doing the muted. Cam is stitching hers on a beautiful dark mottled orange fabric. So go check out Cam's if you want to see a little bit of a different take on it with the same floss. They look very different, but it's very fun. So my plan is to bring this to Stitch North with me. I think these big 3 flowers here, since it's only a couple colors, and once I get the edges mapped out, it's pretty much just fill in. I think it's gonna make great retreat stitching, and it'll be really nice to have an impactful Stitch North finish. Cam is gonna be there, and I think she might be bringing it with her. I'm not sure. She's a little bit further behind on me than me. Essentially, I'm caught up on this and behind on the days of Christmas, and Cam is caught up on the days of Christmas and behind on this. So, you know, we even each other out. It's totally fine. I just am obsessed. The blue bird is so good, and I do have a finish in mind already for it. So the next time that you guys see this project, she will be all done. So hopefully it'll be a good Stitch North finish. There's only about 1,500 stitches left in the chart. So I'm so excited. Getting 2 sections done in between floss tubes feels crazy. Essentially, I think I did this whole yellow flower and stem, all of these blue and purple flowers here, this big long green stem with all the purple buds, all these stars, these blue flowers, these yellow stars here, and these purple flowers. I think that's what the section was. Oh, I also think I did this pink flower and this orange one. I don't know, you guys will have seen the progress photo before I did. So, going from 50 to 85% complete felt crazy. So I just gotta wrap up that last 15. The final and most exciting project that I decided to pull out was also a Nash Stash pull. And basically after I gotten from velvet to linen to 10% and finished my monthly goal on Secret Garden, I wanted to pull out something else, but I didn't really want to start anything because we have planned starts happening at other points in time. And I just wanted to work on something that felt like it needed it. And one of the projects that I really wanted to work on in March that I didn't was my birthday start from 2023. And I decided to pull it out. So this is what it looked like last time you saw it. I have not touched this since 2023. So this has been in desperate need of some attention. This is Night Walked Down by the Blue Flower. And I am obsessed with this chart, and I have been for so long, but for whatever reason, I just never touched it last year, and I felt so bad about it. So when I pulled this out, I knew I wanted to put a pretty significant chunk of stitching in on it because it deserves some good progress after all this time of neglect, essentially. But I had been battling about restarting it because if you can see on the cover image here, there are some big chunks of white stitching, and my fabric is kind of light. It very much matches the cover image, but I was a little bit concerned. So I was thinking about restarting it, and I thought it might be a fun Nash Stash restart. And then I pulled out the project and I started looking at it and really thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? I think once the entire project is finished, those white stitches are gonna be fine. So I just plugged through, I kept going, and this is what it's looking like now. The last time you saw it, it was sitting at 9.2%, so it was another one of my under 10% whips, and it only had about 1,500 stitches on it. It is now at almost 30% complete with a little over 5,000 stitches done. I did about 3,400 stitches on this over 5 days, and I just absolutely am obsessed. There was one day I worked on this for over 1,000 stitches in one day. So you can see that big white peacock there. I think it is totally fine. I know he's not the brightest motif, but I think once the entire project is filled in, I think it's totally fine. Like, I can see him on camera, and usually stuff that I can see in person won't show up on camera. So I think it's gonna be okay. Do I wish that this like dark mottled spot was right here? Yeah, but it's fine. So the last time you saw it, I had this corner motif, this flower, and this side border done. So I finished the white fill-in on the side border. I did the whole peacock and the vine here, started this leaf. I did all of the text and this entire top border. So the only thing I need to do is add a corner motif here, and we will be at the full width of the project, and a corner motif here, and we'll have the full height. So pretty significant chunk of stitching. I am very, very happy with it. This is stitched on 40 count elegant linen by Fortnight Fabrics, which is a beautiful gray purple. I'm not sure if the purple is pulling on camera as much as it is in person, but I'm obsessed. I started this after I saw Sarah of Stitchy Sarah Reads working on this, and I think she's finished it, or she might be close, but I just am obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with a lot of what the Blue Flower does. She's amazing. I have it in a Tula Pink Lion project bag from Little Boat 88. And these are the called for flosses, all the fancy flosses. There is one color, Gentle Arts Seaweed, that is called for. And unfortunately, it was a limited edition color, and you can't get your hands on it anymore. I tried. And so I swapped that one for Gentle Arts Blue Spruce. And I'm really liking that. So if you are kitting this up and you're wondering what to use for seaweed, I recommend Gentle Arts Blue Spruce. It is stitched together with the dark navy color in this top border. So it's the outside edging and the navy is on the inside until like it's just navy here. It's kind of hard to describe, and I'm not sure if it's pulling on camera, but there are 2 different colors in that border. I think it's gonna be a really good color substitution. So I'm really glad I was able to work on this and give it some attention. I love stitching text, so this was probably my most fun part. I think the next time I pick this up, I'm gonna add the corner motifs and do one more side border and just try and knock out the border as I go, and then I can get into the meat and potatoes of all these beautiful flowers, the girl and the cat, and there's a little owl over here that is adorable. So yeah, I know several of you recommended that I do the peacock in black, but then it leaves some white stitching over here that I just thought might stand out a little bit more. So I ended up going with the white. I think it's fine. I think it's going to be good when it's completed, because like even from far away you can kind of tell it's a peacock. Certainly from up close I think you can still see him okay. He's more visible in person than he is on camera. And that is everything I stitched. So let's talk a little bit about stitching plans, shall we? And that'll do it. So I am starting on Friday, so tomorrow, with my friends Pigeon and Puddle by the Blue Flower. I picked this up at Market. I know a lot of people are stitching this, have already stitched this, but Elizabeth, Marjorie, Cam, and I will have all their channels linked down below, are starting it on Friday. So if you want to join us, please do. This is a really fun chart. I pulled all of the flosses this morning. So I've got my DMCs, and then I did buy the Cottage Garden Threads thread pack, which honestly, if you are kitting this up, I really only think you need Silver Birch and Murray Pine. They are the biggest chunks of fill-in in the pattern, and I think you can get away with the DMC for especially the white, but I just bought the floss pack, so I'm gonna use them since I have them. The only thing I could not get my hands on was the variegated yellow in the pattern. It's a DMC variegated color, just like this orange is, but I can pull just a bright yellow from my stash. I'm not super worried about it for the daffodils or narcissus flowers. So that's my floss ring all ready to go. And I think my stitching plan is to do everything and map out the pigeon's body, but leave the fill in. So I'm gonna try and get everything but the pigeon's body done in April, and then bring it to Stitch North and have a really good chunk of fill in and possibly a second Stitch North finish. So that's my most immediate plan. This is my April start, my only April start. And then I do have some sewing / prep plans for Stitch North. I am sewing name tags for all my friends as our table gifts for the year. So I need to sew name tags for Elizabeth and Maddie since I'll be seeing them. And I want to make myself a bigger project folder. I have like a zip around, I'll put a picture of it here, a little zip around project bag that I take to retreats that holds about 3 projects in it. And I want to make one that holds just a couple more for Stitch North, since I have about 5 projects I'm planning on bringing at this given moment. And I just want one that has a little bit more versatility, so I can have a small one for smaller trips to take just a couple of projects, and then have a bigger one for larger retreats or longer retreats, if that makes sense. So I'd like to sew one of those, and I need to sew one more knitting bag for myself because I've kind of run out of knitting project bags. So that's the plan there. And some of you were like, Brijin, why do you keep talking about project bags and you haven't made your project bag tutorial? And the answer is it's coming. I am working on the lighting in my craft room because currently, to get my lighting okay, I have to turn off the fan, and being in a house in Texas with no fan is really difficult, especially this time of year. So I'm working on it, okay, it's coming. I'm thinking my April Flosstube extra for the month is going to be a look at my stitching spot with me, going through my craft cart, like my stitching cart, what do I keep at my stitching spot, which is right over here. So I've gotten a few requests for that, and that should be a pretty easy video to crank out in between now and Stitch North. And then I might film before Stitch North. I might not, it depends on what all I can get done. And yeah, I have a pretty lofty April goals, but as of right now, my stitching bug is back and it is strong, and we're gonna just roll with it for as long as we can. So I'm so excited for Stitch North. It's like literally all I can think about. I have so much to prep, so much to get ready. I got my hair done this morning though, so that's out of the way. The blonde is back and I feel so much more myself. I loved the dark hair, but the highlights in the blonde is closer to my natural color, and it just makes me feel a little bit more like me. You know what I mean? So that is everything for me today. Please go ahead and leave me a comment. Since I worked on one of my oldest neglected whips, let me know what your oldest whip is and when you started it, because I think that information is really interesting. And as always, if you made it to this point in the video, go ahead and leave me a peacock emoji, since we just talked about that white peacock in Night Walked Down. It's my favorite little Easter egg to see how many of you guys actually make it to the end of these, even though this is probably a relatively fast floss tube, since I only worked on a couple projects and I worked on them pretty significantly. So I'm gonna go get cleaned up from this and pull fabric for Pigeon and Puddle, since I haven't really picked a fabric yet. And I will talk to you guys in my next one. Enjoy your April and happy stitching. Bye.